Hi, I'm Siim Sikkut. I'm the government CIO in the government of Estonia here, and I'm very glad to say these few welcoming words for your event and kicking start to the Co-VAL project that you're running. Now, us in Estonia, we have been doing things digitally in our public sector for more than 20 years now, and we have gained quite some sort of good lessons learned from this, I hope. But secondly, also, we clearly know that digital government is a thing that works. It can improve public sector efficiency, it can improve the way we govern overall, and of course, exactly, we deliver better for people and the companies, meaning basically the ones we have to serve. Based on this, and our good experiences, so when we started with our European Union presidency just a few months ago, it was clear for us that we wanted to make the most of it to advance digital development in the whole of Europe, but including then the development of digital government topics. And mind, there have been quite a few things going on digital government front in Europe. Notably, we do have also an action plan until 2020 along these lines. But as technology moves ahead, as there's always sort of competing priorities, as a sort of secondly, world doesn't end with 2020. So with all those reasons, we thought it's exactly now about time to really get all the governments together and agree what's next. How do we make sure that the 2020 plans are being adopted in the fullest way, but also, let's say, digital government, goes further down the line, that we really make most of digital opportunities also in public sectors around all of Europe. That is why over the last few months, we did quite some work on trying to get to different governments in Europe to agree to a declaration on what is the path ahead for digital government in Europe. And that's the Tallinn Declaration that we signed at the beginning of October in Tallinn here in the presidency framework. Now, this declaration sets forward, it actually reads more like an action plan. It sets forward concrete sort of roadmap of how we intend to go further in all these different member states and countries, but also, of course, within them at regional and local levels. And in a way, it sort of sets out concrete sort of agenda, how to really make sure that digital services are there in a sense that services are digital by default, that we make them very seamless by adopting once only principle, that we make them secure enough, that at the same time we sort of make them sort of open and transparent enough, and very importantly also that whatever we build, whatever we run as governments is interoperable with each other. So these are really all the aims to make the most of technology in governments, like I said. Now, declaration is always good in a sense of exactly declaring intent. And we had very strong support from around Europe and from all the national governments and so forth. But I think clearly the challenge is always implementation, making the good intention happen. And I think this is really where Co-VAL can come in very strongly. First of all, to provide us sort of food for thought for further steps and actions. But secondly, I think Co-VAL is an opportunity to really have an outside, constant view to how are we delivering, how are governments around Europe delivering on the declaration aims and roadmap. And secondly, exactly give sort of further guidance on this. Now, research, often ends up being sort of, very useful in the sense of providing sort of new ideas, but they rarely get implemented. I think now within the declaration framework, and like I said, we have to be implementing this. If you and Co-VAL can really sort of help us out, there is a very big listening ear directed your way from our government, from other governments. So basically what I'm trying to say is that so the research that you will be doing has a very good chance of actually having a great impact on how digital government goes forward in Europe. And so in that sense, yes, Co-VAL comes at the very right time exactly in helping to boost this very important agenda. Now, having said all of that, thanks for your attention. I do really look forward to collaboration opportunities with you all. And I think this can come in a few ways. First of all, of course, if Estonian digital government experience would be at all helpful and useful for you in your work, in whatever sort of aspects and topics you tackle, just always ask. We're very happy to sort of share, provide a platform for some events, what have you. Secondly, of course, if there are things that come out of your research that would be useful for a policy agenda to boost on European level, again, we're happy to take it on board. And last but not least, if there's new ideas and pilots and things you want to be trying out from your work, again, let's talk. And I'm sure it's not just Estonia saying this, so I'm sure my colleagues from around Europe who heavily work and deeply believe in digital government would be just as eager to collaborate. So having said all of that, thank you again. Good luck with your event this time, basically setting the Co-VAL in action. And yes, looking forward to our next meetings. Good luck.